Often, the information that you want to display on a computer is too big to fit on a screen at the same time. A common way to handle this is to pretend that the information is on a large piece of paper and the part you can view is visible through a window. The widget that allows you to control what part of the information is in the window is called a scroll bar, since you can think of the information as being on a large scroll. Here are some examples of scroll bars.
When the cursor enters Bravo's scroll bar, it changes shape to indicate that scrolling is enabled. Each of the 3 mouse buttons corresponds to a scrolling operation. When a mouse button is depressed, the cursor shape indicates the enabled scrolling action. When the mouse button is released, the command is invoked. Scroll up moves the line of text adjacent to the cursor to the top of the document window. Scroll down moves the line of text at the top of the document window to be adjacent to the cursor. Thumb causes the entire document to jump to the location in the document corresponding to the vertical position of the cursor in the scroll bar. The boxed arrow indicates the location in the document that is currently visible.
In this version of Smalltalk, the scroll bars pop up when the mouse pointer enters the window. The scroll bar has 3 regions. The one on the right, clicking there causes the text to move up. The one on the left causes it to move down. And the one in the center can be used to scroll smoothly to arbitrary portions of the total text. This gray rectangle, with respect to the entire scroll bar, indicates the fraction of the text that you see.
Scroll bars in Interlisp D appear on a window only when they are needed. The user indicates this by rolling out of the content area of the window into either the left or bottom margin. What appears as a scroll bar showing the position of the material that is visible as a small section which is grayed out. The length of this indicates how much is actually visible. Scrolling can be done by using the left button for going up and the right button for going down. You scroll farther, the farther you are away from the top of the window. In addition, the middle button is used to thumb to the place in the whole document which you want to see. Releasing there will produce that section of the material.
Notice that when some output is generated, the length of the gray elevator in the scroll bar stays in proportion to the number of lines of output in the window. When the mouse is moved into the scroll bar, the right mouse button can be used to scroll the current line to the bottom of the window, and the left mouse button can be used to scroll the current line to the top of the window. Holding the button down initiates continuous scrolling in that direction. The middle button can be used to directly specify a point in the history to scroll to.
The Xerox development environment provides both vertical and horizontal scroll bars. Scroll bars are narrow regions on the left side of the window. To scroll up, click the left mouse button inside the scroll bar region. The cursor changes shape to indicate the direction of scrolling. The amount of scrolling is related to where in the scroll bar the cursor is placed. If the cursor is near the top of the scroll bar, less will be scrolled than if the cursor is near the bottom. To scroll down, click the right mouse button down inside the region. To scroll quickly to a position in the window, hold both mouse buttons down and then position the cursor inside the scroll bar at the relative position desired.
In Star and Viewpoint, each window has a vertical scroll bar on the right. The horizontal scroll bar, which is optional, is at the bottom of the window. The scroll bar has several buttons to provide scrolling of the window data. The arrow buttons scroll the data up or down and left or right in the window. The plus button scrolls to the top of the next page, while the minus button scrolls to the top of the previous page. The thumbing region or elevator is the area between buttons. It provides feedback about which portion of the document is currently being viewed and also allows quick access to any page of the document. When the left mouse button is pressed over the elevator, the page number is displayed in a window at the top of the screen.
Apollo Computer's Display Manager, or DM, was one of the first commercially successful window manager systems. The DM was designed to be keyboard-driven, as early systems had no mouse. To scroll a window in the DM, use the scroll keys rather than a scroll bar. You can scroll left and right as well as up and down. You may go directly to the top or bottom of a window. You may go to a specified line number, and you may go to the location of a search string.
To scroll by one line, click in an arrow. To repeatedly scroll a line at a time, hold the mouse button down in an arrow. Note that the arrows point towards the data that will be exposed when the arrow is pressed. To scroll by one window full, click in a gray region. To repeatedly scroll by window fulls, hold the mouse button down in a gray region. To scroll immediately to a desired location, press in the thumb, drag to the desired location, and release. To abort the scroll, drag out of the scroll bar before releasing the button.
The Cedar document editor, Tioga, provides vertical scroll bars at the left edge of document windows. When the cursor enters a scroll bar, the scroll bar darkens and the cursor indicates that scrolling is available. Each of the 3 mouse buttons corresponds to a scrolling operation. When a mouse button is depressed, the cursor shape indicates the enabled scrolling action. When the mouse button is released, the command is invoked. Scroll up moves the line of text adjacent to the cursor to the top of the document window. Scroll down moves the line of text at the top of the document window to be adjacent to the cursor. Thumb causes display of the location in the document corresponding to the vertical position of the cursor in the scroll bar. The gray rectangle indicates the location in the document which is currently visible.
The alternate reality kit is actually a vast plane. One can move over the plane by bumping the hand against the edge of the window. This can be used to move left or right, up or down. Now there are special objects in ARC called teleporters. Clicking with the middle button over a teleporter causes the hand to hop from one to the other. This is a useful device for jumping large distances with a single click, and can even be used to send objects through to the other end. Let's go through ourselves to the other end and see the object we just sent out. There it is.
In Viewpoint, the scroll bar is almost identical to Star, except for 3 interesting changes. First, when thumbing through the document, the cursor is not required to stay inside the thumbing region. Also, instead of showing the page number in a window at the top of the screen, it is now shown in the cursor. These 2 changes reduce the hand-eye coordination problems users were experiencing. Second, by pressing and holding the right mouse button inside the elevator, the user can select a location in the current page by percentage. Finally, using the right mouse button on the plus or minus buttons moves the document up or down by a full window rather than a full page.
The Andrews scroll bar provides both coarse and fine-grained scrolling of the object being presented. A left mouse click moves the position of the image across from the cursor up to the top of its window. A right mouse click moves the top of the image down to the position of the cursor. Scrolling by pages is done by positioning the cursor near the bottom. Fine scrolling is done by positioning the cursor near the top of the scroll bar. Holding down the mouse button results in continuous scrolling. Clicking at the top of the scroll bar moves directly to the beginning of the object's image. Clicking at the bottom of the scroll bar moves to the end of the image. The user can also move within the image by dragging the elevator. The elevator in the Andrews scroll bar shows what portion of the image is visible. The relative position and size of the current selection is also displayed.
The Peridot UIMS supplied a 2-dimensional scroll box.
Pressing the left button down in the top arrow moves the contents 1 increment. Pressing on the bottom arrow moves the contents down 1 increment. The contents continue to move as long as the button is held down. Pressing on the indicator and dragging it to a point will scroll to that part of the file. Pressing above or below the indicator, but still inside the bar, will scroll by pages in that direction, so long as the button is down. Direction keys provide the keyboard interface to scroll bars. One press of an arrow key moves the file by 1 increment, and holding the key down moves the contents continuously. Pressing the page up will move the contents up one window. Pressing the page down will move the contents down one window. Control Home or Control End moves the cursor to the beginning or the end of the file.
Open-look scroll bars are entirely operated with the Select mouse button. Clicking on the up arrow and down arrows moves one line at a time. Clicking above or below the elevator scrolls one page backward or forward. Continuing to hold the Select mouse button down will cause these actions to repeat. Note that the pointer is pushed along with the motion of the elevator. Dragging with the Select button is also possible for random positioning. Cable anchors behave as buttons, providing a quick method for scrolling to the beginning and the end of a document.
Scrollers let user view large documents in a window smaller than the document. This is a scroll knob. Its position within the column indicates which part of the document we are viewing. If the user clicks on the column, the knob jumps to that position and the document moves accordingly. If the user drags the knob, the document smoothly follows his motion. If the user holds down the alternate key while dragging the knob, the document moves more gradually. This is useful when scrolling through very large documents in which normal scrolling does not provide fine enough control. The size of the scroll knob is proportional to the amount of the document being viewed. If we add some text to the document, a smaller fraction of the document is being viewed and the knob shrinks in size. These are scroll buttons. When a user clicks on these buttons, the document moves in small increments. If the buttons are held down, the document continues to move. If the user holds down the alternate key while clicking the buttons, the document moves by windowfuls.
Notice that as the cursor moves over the thumb, it highlights. I can grab the thumb and move up and down, showing updating in real time. I also have the opportunity to select on the scroll bar and have the thumb move to that point. I can also select an increment button and have the text increment a line at a time. If I wish to page up and down, I can hold the Shift key down and select on an increment button.
Motif scroll bars provide for scrolling by unit increment, pages, and other groupings. Pressing mouse button 1 on a scroll bar arrow provides a unit increment. In a trough, a page increment. Unit and page scrolling both auto-repeat. Dragging with mouse button 1 pressed in the slider box scrolls continuously.
The relationship, the size of the thumb in the scroll bar to the entire scroll bar shows how much of the document you are viewing. So the thumb will dynamically resize with different data files. Stepping arrows will move the data one unit at a time. In this case, it's a line of text at a time. You can hold down the mouse button and get an auto-repeat effect on the stepping arrows. You can click above or below the thumb to move a screenful at a time through data. You can also press the mouse button on the thumb and drag it to any portion that you'd like. When you release, you'll be positioned at that spot. The SVN scroll bar has two sets of stepping arrows. The inner set steps one line at a time. The outer moves you through the hierarchy. You can see that when you press on the slider in the Deck Windows Mail application, you also get an index window which shows you where you will be positioned when you release the slider.